Hello everyone, today I'll be doing a solo Grandmaster run, Lightblade with Hunter. For my subclass, I'll be using Nightstalker. Here are the mods and fragments I'll be using in this video. For my kinetic, I'll be using Wish Ender. Next, I'll be using an Arc Glaive with no unstoppable mod for this run. Next, I'll be using the Hothead Rocket. This week, I decided to go for the Hunter subclass and get the Platinum rank. Now, I will be doing the mini cheese method for this season. So I will be taking down the 2 barrier champions and then leave the last 2 barrier champions at the last phase of the boss fight. I'm gonna go on top of the statue and hopefully the boss won't go into a psychopath maniac and not shoot his Kai Blast at my poor guardian. So I will be using Wish Ender so I can do more damage, and then for the artifact mod it will get debuffed. So once he runs away like a bungee, then I'm going to turn invisible and then deal with the 2 bigger champions. Now, in my old videos, I used to just take down the barrier champion from the right side and then take down the barrier champion on the middle side. But because it's just too much work and I just want to go the easy way, I'm just going to pull back. And this also works on a Titan Warlock. I have tested out. You just have to bunny hop or Titan jump really fast. And I'm going to go back here and then deal with the Arc Knights, deal with the 2 barrier champions. Make sure you use your rocket. Now the rocket I have is Hothead. The rocket is alright, it's not the best perks, but I thought might as well just use it. I would prefer autoloading tracking and with clown cartridge, but I'm having a hard time getting that. I have farmed the Hothead rocket for 8 hours in my old past seasons. I'm trying to farm the god roll, but I can never get one. So if I did, this run would have been much more faster and much more better, but I am going to be just adjusting and just be happy of the weapon I have for the rocket. Because we are debuffing the barrier champion, and be careful with the fire, the boss actually won't do this ballerina twirls. Now, when it's not purple, when it's not debuffed, then it's going to be tossing and turning, dancing like a ballerina. But we don't want it to turn around and then just dodge our Wish Ender or our rockets. We want to make sure we debuff it or do consistent precision shots. And you're probably wondering right now, why am I using a glaive? Well, there is so many reasons why. And yes, this run's going to be a little bit slower because I am using a glaive. The reason is I want to have an easier time dealing with the Lucent Hive in this area and then the boss fight. And deal with the cursed thralls as well. And protect myself from the suppressing grenades that the Lucent Hive love to spam. And then there's also one more thing, but I'll talk about that later. I'm going to be taking down the 2 wizards. I want to make sure the Lucent Hive doesn't detect me, which is why I turn invisible. The reason why I did that method is so I don't want the Lucent Hive to go psychopathic maniac and pretend to be a Titan to do the Sentinel shield. And I don't want it to one-shot me. Now I'm going to sneakily use a rocket. I didn't see him there, so I was waiting for him to teleport from the left side. Sometimes the Lucent Hive likes to teleport in the middle. It is completely RNG, by the way. So he is teleporting. I'm going to throw my suppressing grenade. The reason why I do that is for him to stop using his super and stop pretending to be a Sentinel Titan, because he's never going to be one. And yes, he did try to one-shot me with the suppressing grenades, but because of the power, or the glaive power, I used the glaive bubble, and I didn't get one-shot, but I did get suppressed a bit. So I did save myself from that horrible attack from the Lucent Hive. So this is another reason why glaives are really good for the Lightfall. Also, another reason is you can fight the Lucent Hive while it's on his super when it's using his Sentinel's shield. So you can hold the glaive bubble and then just keep shooting over and over again. So that's basically what I did for this footage or for this solo run, because I was trying to do a second run, a much more faster run, but because there were so many bugs, knights teleporting behind me, barrier champion teleporting, not even jumping at the boss fight, it was just teleporting. It wasn't working out, and I almost didn't get a completion at the boss fight. I killed the boss, and then after 15 seconds later it said completion. So it wasn't really worth of me trying to redo the run. There was just too many weird odd things today, not on Tuesday, but today, Wednesday. I try my best to deal both of the barrier champions. The most tricky part at this part is you have to try your best not to take down the acolytes. The more acolytes you take down, the high possibility that the Lucent Hive will spawn. And I don't want him to spawn yet. He usually spawns in the middle. But I really want to take down the barrier champion, and this is why this part was a little slow. And if you're wondering why I'm just turning from the right side, I accidentally took down one of the acolytes, and I want to make sure that the Lucent Hive did not spawn yet, because sometimes if you're just focusing on the barrier champion, the Lucent Hive can immediately use his super or throw a suppressing grenade. So right now, things wasn't working out. I accidentally killed the the acolyte because of Wish Ender. So this is just plan B if things are not going as planned. On my footage I tried to do this morning, I did the perfect shot, but for this one, it didn't work out. The barrier champion is still alive, but it's alright. We will have to deal with the ballerina barrier champion later because it was just being a bungee. Now, our objective is to take down the Lucent Hive. If you don't take him down, he will harass you and he will try his best to pretend to be a Titan and try to one-shot you with the Sentinel shield. So make sure you throw your suppressing grenade. If you don't want to use suppressing grenade, you can use Vortex, but I highly recommend for the Hunter or Titan or any subclass, highly recommend to use suppressing grenades dealing with the Lucent Hive. It really helps out with these guys when they are spamming their suppressing grenades. I had a moment, I don't have the footage, or maybe I do, where the Lucent Hive spam his suppressing grenade 3 times in a row, and then the glaive saved me 3 times. So another thing you can do is you can also use your glaive while using his super. I don't think I did on this footage. I did in the beginning, but I didn't so much at this part because his health was already low for me to even use it. Then you crush the ghost and then back away and deal with the acolytes. I do want to take down the barrier champion, so probably I'm going to take down the thralls. They're the ones that try to be aggressive and try to 2-shot you or 3-shot you. Now sometimes you might get bad luck. I think I had bad luck on this footage where I was trying to take down the thralls and then the Lightblade or the Lucent Hive spawn, and the 2 are captain knights that can one-shot you. For some reason, they always one-shot me, maybe because my hunter has low recovery, I'm not really sure. Because I had fellow clanmates, they have told me that it only can 2-shot you, but for me, it one-shots me for hunter. So lucky day for me, I can take down the ballerina barrier champion right away. Sometimes you could get bad luck where the Lucent Hive spawns because you accidentally took down one of the acolytes. So once this happens, back away. I wouldn't stand too much because the Lucent Hive actually can throw their suppressing grenade really far away. For an example, proof over here. That's why I try to just do one rocket and then back away, and then save the rockets to take down the Lucent Hive. They're the most important to deal with because they just take a long time when you are trying to deal with the Lucent Hive when you're low on rockets, and then if you just focus on the Arc Captain Knights. So I'm just going to call them the mini boss Arc Knights or Arc Knights. So another method you can do is you can use your glaive to fight off the Lucent Hive when it's on his super. I was trying to see if I can use my rocket, and then he disappear. What a bungee. So I'm going to be really patient. I'm going to use Wish Ender to see where he is. I want to use my super and then try to use my rocket and then pull back. So if I do need to use my glaive, I will use it to fight off the Lucent Hive, but I don't think I used it when he was on his super. But that is also another option you can do if you do want to speed it up and then rush it. So I did turn invisible, and then I'm going to use my finisher, kill the ghost or crush it, and then deal with the remaining thralls. There are two of the Arc Knights that we must be aware. They can one-shot you, but you can protect yourself when using the glaive bubble. Just be aware of your surroundings when dealing with these Arc Knights. I had bugs on my second run where they teleported and then one-shot me. They didn't on Tuesday, but today, Wednesday, they did for some odd reason. So just be extremely careful with them and use your suppressing grenades if you need to. They really help out dealing with these Arc Knights because they just love to chase you and try to one-shot you or two-shot you depending on your recovery. Or maybe it's a hunter thing because on my warlock they don't one-shot me. Completely bizarre. Or my titan. So you can see proof here, Glaive Bubble can help you and protect you from the one-shot Arc Knights. This is one of the reasons why I had to sacrifice of not using Unstoppable mod and then use a Glaive instead. It really helps out dealing with the Lucent Hive, Arc Knights, and the suppressing grenades, and then the fight of the super, shriekers. It's just so many things. And also the scribs from the swamp, they can also protect you when it's trying to one-shot you as well, or you're trying to take down the scrib. When it's too close, you can use your glaive bubble and then it won't one-shot you. So during this part, we're gonna go to the mini ship. I will use the emoji so the ads won't attack me. Now, I forgot all the emojis you can use, so if you don't have the emoji, you could just take advantage of the invisibility for the hunter. There is also other ways where you could bring your sparrow to the ship for the swamp mini cheese, but for me it's just so much work, and the problem is if you mess up the swamp, if you hit an invisible wall or a tree, you're pretty much done just all over again. So that's why I didn't really do the sparrow method. I just did the one where I just go from the left side and walk my way to the swamp. Now I could spam invisibility for the swamp area if anyone's wondering on the lamps, but the problem is the moths can actually detect you when you're using your smoke, not the dodge. It's really weird, and it has always been like this for many years, which is why I prefer 6 Coyote over Graviton Forfeit. So once we took down the barrier champions, and I'll talk more about the swamp very soon once we're there, I'm going to be using the emoji. I'm going to have the acolytes ignore me. If you don't really have invisibility, let's just pretend you're using 6 Coyote and you don't have the emoji, then you can just take down the acolytes, let the ship run, let it float away, and then you can just deal with the acolytes and then deal with the shrieker from the mini platforms. So I will be doing the method to skip the Lucent Hive because 1, there's no champions here. 2, I want to make life easier and get this season over it. I just want to get my solo conqueror and get it done for this season. Because this season, Battlegrounds is just a mess and a big bungee. And it's just not enjoyable as it was the old Nightfalls. So you're going to be using the bow to take down the shrieker. You can also use your glaive. I didn't use it for this footage, but just to let everyone know if anyone's curious, you can use Wish Ender and then combo it with glaive. So I'm going to turn invisible and then skip these Lucent Hives. I'm going to pick up the Void Orb and then dunk the orb. Once I dunk the second orb, now we're gonna go have fun. And I am going to emoji my way to skip the wizards, to skip the shriekers, and then just make life easier. So I am using the emoji throne, and there is a weird bug, which it always has been ever since Lightblade was released. There is a certain point where your character will move out of the mini cheese spot where you can get ignored by the acolytes and shrieker. You'll see very soon. Like once that happens, you have to just use your emoji again. Or you could just spam invisibility if you don't have the emoji. So I actually had to once again spam the emoji because the game pushed me off from the mini glitch or mini cheese. Not really sure what to call it, to be honest. Then once we pass the waterfalls, we're good to go. I wouldn't recommend jumping at this part. It's just too buggy and I wouldn't recommend it. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to jump and I'm going to deal with the thralls with the bow. So I'm going to jump on this platform. I mean, I could use my glaive, but the problem is I want to save my glaive for the next area. So now I'm just going to take my time using Wish Ender. You can also throw your suppressing grenade if you want to. You don't really need it so much, but I do recommend you try your best to get as much orbs as you can because you're going to need a lot for the swamp area. So let's talk about the swamp area, which I despise. There is a method of the sparrow. I don't really like using that method because sometimes you mess up and then you're done. Now there is a method for the hunter where you just turn invisible, but the problem is you have to go really fast and the moth can actually see you when you are using the smoke invisibility, not the dodge. So you have to be extremely careful because you could just be invisible and then you can just get killed by the moth. Then for the next method is the speed booster for the arc subclass. So yeah, there is a lot of ways, but for me, I just did the easy way. Well, not the easy way. I just did a different way. And then one thing I really hate about the swamp is these lamps can change. It is completely RNG. So if you're using the arc subclass, let's just pretend you're on a Titan, and the lamps can be completely different at every run, and you have to keep running with the speed booster and don't have the darkness times 10. That's one thing about the arc subclass that can be a bit tricky, which is why the sparrow method is probably the easiest. But it's just a lot of work of making the sparrow go all the way to the ship and make sure the acolytes don't destroy your ship, which can be a drag. So right now I have darkness times 10. Darkness times 10 is when you can't run, You can't slide, but you can jump and walk. So I am going to be using the smoke and then just make my way through the swamp water or water. And then we're going to go up to the mini cliff hill. I'm not sure why I went that way. I could have went to the right way. But yeah, just be very careful and not fall down from the dead pit. So this is a part that's extremely important. Take down the fairies or the moth, because the problem is they can see you when you turn invisible when you're using your smoke, but not your dodge. On this footage, I kind of messed up. I don't know why on console it is such a drag to take them down. But proof here, if you use your dodge for the hunter, the moth can't see you. But if you use your smoke invisibility, they can see you. At that part, I got really lucky. So what I should have done is I should have stand still and then used the bow. See, the problem on console is it's just so hard to shoot them when you're moving around. Like, it's so awkward to deal with the moth when you're using the bow, especially a bow versus a scout. But as you guys know, I do have to use Wish Ender to deal with Lightblade to get the completion, just to make life easier. Plus, I'm not even using Unstoppable mod. Alright, this run could have been way more faster if the glaive was unstoppable. I know it was last season, but everyone's different. I really love glaives for Lightblade. They're just so useful. They always save me from dealing with the Lucent Hives, and I just love it so much. So during this part, I am going to be doing DPS at the Unstoppable. So I'm going to do a mini time skip. Once I did DPS at the Unstoppable, now I'm going to be dealing with the moth. So the reason why I didn't use my finisher is I didn't take down all the moths. So as I said before, they can see you if you use your smoke. So just be extremely careful. So once I take down all the fairies or Navi the fairy from Zelda, since it turned evil, I am going to take down the last moth and then turn invisible. I couldn't see him until I saw a little spark saying, "Hello, hey, listen." And then I turn invisible and then just skip this part. I didn't want to deal with the raiders because they throw void grenades just like Hollow Layer, and it's a pain in the bungee to deal with them. Now everyone's different. I prefer this method where I'm gonna go on top of the right side platform. So I decided to go for this platform and tag the Unstoppable Champion. So make sure you tag the 2 Unstoppable Champions. If you don't tag them, the Scorn Unstoppable Champions, or both, or I would say the Hive Unstoppable and the Scorn Unstoppable, my bad, you're going to have the gold rank at the boss fight when you're using the cheese method. So make sure you tag them so it can count as champion defeated. Once you do that, then you can deal with the mini ogres and then do DPS and use your super. So for me, I want to make sure I deal with the ogres, do DPS, ignore the shriekers, just take them down, make sure everything is good to go. And then just spam Wish Ender away. I mean, I could use my glaive, but I'm going to save it for the boss fight. So now we see the Scorn and Unstoppable Hive fighting each other. So once this happens, then you can do DPS on Unstoppable Champion. I was just looking, looks like the Lightblade boss is also attacking the Scorn Unstoppable Champion. Everyone is gaining up on this poor guy. But anyway, we did get the points, so that's a good thing. So now I'm going to be doing DPS at the Ogre Unstoppable, so I'm going to do a mini time skip. Once I do DPS on Unstoppable Champion, now we're gonna deal with the Lightblade boss. So I am gonna do a mini time skip here. It's just gonna take a while. Alright, so once he started to be a coward and be a bungee, the Lightblade boss. Oh my goodness. Why? Okay. I am so sorry. My phone had a national alert. I apologize. I don't know what to say. That was so random. I didn't do it on purpose, alright? Anyway, back to Destiny. So now there'll be 2 Shriekers. I'm not sure why I went to this method. So I am going to do a mini time skip of exactly one method you're supposed to go. Make sure all the ads are clear and then deal with the Shrieker at this spot. I'm not sure why I went to the back. That's probably the most dangerous, not safest spot to go. So always go to this spot, not the one in the back. It is extremely dangerous. I do not recommend going to the back way. Always go to the front right side to deal with the 2 Shriekers. And now the boss fight. Yes, isn't this going to be fun? So let me just say this was my first time dealing with the boss for this season. And there were some parts I forgot how to deal with the Lucent Hive and 4 barrier champions. So I did turn invisible so the boss can't see me. Since the hunter is so slow at running. I went to the cheese spot, I huddle at the back left and then crouch, and then I waited for the boss to walk by. During this part, it's best not to mess around. That's why I had a glaive, just in case something goes wrong. I can just use a shield and then protect myself and turn invisible. So just do at least just 1 or 2 shots. I would say 1 shot and then just hear the footsteps of the boss. He will be walking towards you and then you can just shoot the foot. Yes, I'm not over exaggerating or joking around. I am going to use Wish Ender and just shoot the foot to do DPS. I know this is hilarious, but hey, it works, this mini cheese spot. So I'm going to be doing DPS as much as I can with Wish Ender. Please don't mess around. Please don't make smiley faces on the toe of the Lightblade boss. Trust me, I have tried it last season and he spammed his arc. And I almost went back to orbit. So please, for the love of the Bungeon Traveler, don't make a smiley face. I tried it. Was not happy. And it tried to kill me. But yeah, I'm just shooting the foot away. Shooting the foot. Then it started to move. Sometimes the boss likes to move, so please don't freak out. Just stay in the spot and then just keep doing DPS over and over again. And don't forget, if you are using a glaive, don't forget to gain the glaive bubble energy just in case something goes wrong. So I'm going to be using Wish Ender and shoot the toe over and over again. Isn't this fun? And don't make smiley faces on the toe. Please don't do that. It's not gonna be happy. It's gonna get aggressive, so trust me, don't do that. Just spam the bow, get it done, get the completion for the solo. So once I'm shooting the toe for revenge from the old seasons, where a teleporter one-shot me while I was invisible. I'll never forget that. That was the worst experience of my life. Now I'm going to be dealing with 1 Lucent Hive and the 2 Arknights. So he will be teleporting. Then there's going to be the 2 Lucent Hives and, well, 1 Lucent Hive, my bad. And then 2 of the Arknights that can one-shot you. Best thing for me is to deal with the Curse Thralls. Now, there was a bug going on. I don't think they fixed it. It was worse today, by the way. On Wednesday or today, the teleportation was so bad compared to Tuesday. So you must take down the cursed thralls because they teleport. They are buggy. That's another problem of going to this mini cheese spot. But I do recommend just use your glaive if you are really close to the cursed thrall. You can see here, they teleported. How did they do that? Was that like a quick attack? You know, sometimes I just wonder, how can they even do that? It was so fast. Did you guys see that? It teleported immediately from the right side. So make sure you take down all the cursed thralls. So that's the first objective. I would also take down the thralls as much as you can. See, another proof. So many bugs going on. Wednesday was worse. The next day of Destiny was 5 times worse than this. Alright, I was having so many bugs going on. It was just not worth of me redoing the run. Because I was trying to get a cleaner run. It was really good, but the boss fight, oh my goodness. And then after the swamp, and then barrier champions were getting their health without using their bubble. It was just a mess. So make sure you take down all the cursed thralls before dealing with the Lucent Hive. Because I was so impatient, I decided to see where the Lucent Hive is. So one method you can do is you can actually, on the cheese spot, you could just go on top of the cup and then just bait these thralls and they will go and attack you. See, I didn't do this method, but I did on my other footage, which was all buggy and glitchy. So right now I want to deal with the Lucent Hive. This is extremely dangerous. I was being extremely impatient, so I apologize. I just want to take down the Lucent Hive and get this done and over it. The thralls were also the issue where they were bothering me and messing up my DPS with the Lucent Hive. See, the problem is that the thralls can actually hurt you when you are on your glaive bubble. Because they go inside the bubble and then they can 3-shot you. So that's one of the problems of using the glaive. The thralls can be your worst enemy more than the Lucent Hive. So I'm going to try again, see if I can get him. I'm going to use my super, throw my suppressing grenade, and then just spam. And then these cursed thralls were immediately trying to one-shot me. See, proof here that the glaive bubble's worst enemy is the cursed thralls. So just be super careful. And you can see I missed a couple of cursed thralls, so my bad for that. I was trying to lure the thralls, but like I said, you can stand on the cup or at the ground, or you can stand on the ground at this part, and you can just lure the thralls and clear them out. I didn't really do so much for this footage because I didn't realize you can do that. I completely forgot that you can lure these thralls to all go aggressive at one spot. So my bad for that. So right now I'm just trying to see if I can shoot a rocket dealing with the Lucent Hive. Thralls are also in the way. They are being completely aggressive when I am using the glaive. So just be extremely careful with the thralls. They are going to be your worst enemy for this entire Nightfall. So I did use the rocket once again and quickly just throw a smoke instead of holding the circle. So now I'm going to turn invisible because I heard the Arc Knight being extremely aggressive. My first objective is to deal with the Lucent Hive. So I want to make sure I take him down. One thing I would like to mention is when I was doing my cleaner run, I had times where the boss used his sentinel shield and then he clipped through the walls and one-shot me at the bottom of the floor. So that is, I would say that's probably the most rarest thing that the Lucent Hive can do. That's why I decided to just do commentary on this version, since there weren't a lot of bugs going on compared to Wednesday or today. So I am going to be crushing the ghosts, and this is the perfect time to get some heavy, get some special, and then deal with the 2 of the arc captains. And I'm going to go to the mini cheese spot. So I am going to stand here because the arc knights can't one-shot me, but they do try to run away a bit. You will have to lure them close to you so you can do DPS. They will hide. I'm not really sure why. They behave completely different when you're on top of this platform or any platform that looks similar to this. And then just use your rocket if you have extra rocket ammo. I'm not sure why I didn't use a rocket for this footage, but it's just a recommendation. If you do want to use your rocket, use it. I was just trying to save as much ammo as I can to deal with the Lucent Hive for the next phase. Well, I will say the second phase since we are still in the first phase. But yeah, you can notice the Lightblade Arc Knights, they are extremely bizarre when you stand on this platform. So once we defeated one mini boss, then we can go deal with the next Arc Knight or Lightblade Knight. Alright, so I'm going to be using my finisher. And make sure you are invisible to go to the cheese spot. You can also bait the boss or the Arc Knight to go to the cheese spot. If you are, let's just say, a Arc Hunter or non-invisible subclass, you must bait the Arc Knight to go to the cheese spot, kill him immediately, and then immediately go to the cheese spot. You don't want the boss to see you. If it does see you while you're trying to go to the cheese spot, then it will shoot arc and then it'll be back to orbit. So now I quickly went to the mini cheese spot and then I'm going to bait the boss and then just do damage on the toe. Yes, not even joking, no over exaggerating. Once he's in a good spot, then I'm just going to wish Ender away. I was trying to see if I can get glaive bubble, but it wasn't working, unfortunately. So because of that, which I wasn't really happy because I really want to use it for the next phase, I just decided to use Wish Ender. Just spam Wish Ender over and over for revenge from the old past seasons. This boss, the Kai Blast from old seasons ago, was so OP and broken to the point where it one-shot me, only the splash damage, not even the Archive Blast. It was the Archive Blast, but it was just the splash damage and it one-shot me. It was completely ridiculous. I am happy that they nerfed that. So now I'm just gonna be Wish Endering away. Isn't this fun? Just doing damage on the toe. You can also do damage on the shoulder if you don't see the foot of the boss. Plan B if something is going wrong or if you don't see any spot to do DPS with Wish Ender. Once I do DPS at the foot or the shoulder, I'm going to try my best not to laugh. We're going to be dealing with 4 champions, 2 Arc Knights, and a Lucent Hive. Before I even start, I had to clear out the curse thralls. So I do apologize if this part is a bit messy and it's not the fastest run when I was going for the solo. There is a lot of teleportation. There is a lot of proof that during this part, you'll be dealing with cursed thralls. And they love, and when I say love, they have a passion of teleporting in front of you, to the right side, or to the left side. You can jump on platform, or I'm going to call them the bushes, or the red bushes. So you can use the glaive, or you can use a bow to do DPS. Now, during this footage, I did completely different than the other run. The other run that I did, it was working out great, but the Lucent Hives were regaining their health, and I was just having some error issues, which I just could not bother myself redoing it because it was just too much work of gambling if the Lucent Hive's gonna regain their health or not, which doesn't make any sense. So sometimes if you stand here, you can actually deal with the barrier champions, but unfortunately for this one, I wasn't able to do DPS with the barrier champion. So I am gonna do a mini time skip here. You will see the barrier champion that will hop around. I messed up the DPS because I thought maybe I can do DPS with barrier champion without using my super. Big mistake, because I was mostly thinking about the Lucent Hive. Because things wasn't working out, unfortunately for me, I had to go for a different plan and then see if I can multitask dealing with the barrier champions. What I should have done on this footage is just focus on the Lucent Hive. I didn't do it so much on this run, on my first run. On the second run I did, but there were a lot of barrier champions teleporting instead of jumping, which was a bit frustrating, and I just decided to just upload this version instead of the second one. You can also bait the barrier champions from that top left side. I was trying to see if I can bait them. You can. See, the problem is if you leave the Lucent Hive alive, they're going to spam the Sentinel Shield, and sometimes it can be nerve-wracking because I had times on my other test run yesterday where the Sentinel Shield actually clipped through the walls and behind me. So where I'm standing here, the Sentinel Shield actually one-shot me behind me. And I'm not really sure how it happened, but that's one of the error codes that I was having trouble yesterday. Well, yes, yesterday. So yeah, there'll be 4 barrier champions, so I was trying to do DPS. The good news is there's no 2 barrier champions, so the one thing I don't like about doing DPS is sometimes 2 of them can work together and then try their best to take you down. Since it's just 1 barrier champion, this isn't really a big issue. See, if I had the tracking and clown coverage, this DPS with the barrier champion wouldn't be so bad. Of course, with the other method, the non-cheese method, you will have to deal with the barrier champions and know the spawns of barrier champions, especially during the second phase and then the last phase. The second phase, when there are 2 more remaining champions near the 3rd phase of the boss. Luckily, the barrier champion was in the middle. I was debating to do DPS of the barrier champion. I think I hesitated here and then I just pulled back a bit. So what I should have done over there is I should have just be a little bit more aggressive and then do DPS of the barrier champion. So as I said before, this run isn't the best. I could have right away just used a rocket, use my super. But, you know, no one's perfect. But just be aware that the arc high blast or the arc blast can do a lot of damage, especially the splash damage. Something that the arc, well, the final boss can do. And the old version of Lightblade, the arc splash was 10 times more powerful than this version. Also, another reason I was just walking around back and forth was because of Lucent Hive. I didn't want the Lucent Hive to see me when I was trying to deal with the barrier champions. So that's why I was going left and right, going to different rooms or different platforms. But this is me just playing passive. But once you take down the 2 barrier champions, the other 2 is not so bad. But it was just me debating because I was trying to figure out, and yes, the Arcanine almost one-shot me. I was trying to figure out if I should just go for the barrier champions first or deal with the Lucent Hive first. That was basically what it was in my mind when I was doing this run. But forgive me for my first go for this Nightfall. The reason why I didn't go one-on-one to glaive is because the arc barrier champions are all still alive and they could mess up my DPS when the boss is using the sentinel shield. Once he stops pretending to be a titan, I'm going to be using the rocket. So I was trying to look for him, and he's near the barrier champions, and we have these Arcanites jumping around. It was just so weird that they can jump more higher than a titan, which doesn't make any sense. You know, it sometimes baffles me when I see the Arcanites or the barrier champions just doing this one hop which hunters would wish they could do, but I don't think they could ever do that without an exotic. I did see the barrier champion in the middle. So when I see the opportunity, I just use my super. The reason why I didn't use my super so much was I was debating to take down the Lucent Hive first or the barrier champions. But because the barrier champions were in sweet spots where I can do DPS, I just forgot about my super on the Lucent Hive and then just focus on the barrier champions when I see them. Since there's just 2 more barrier champions, I mostly focus on a Lucent Hive next and then the remaining 2 champions. So you will see me just wait for the boss to spam his sentinel shield, and then I'm going to be dealing with the Lucent Hive with the rocket. I do recommend just first deal with the Lucent Hive first. That way you'll have more freedom dealing with the barrier champions. It's just unfortunately when I was going to attack the Lucent Hive, I saw barrier champions in a nice spot for me to do DPS, and then I just couldn't resist but to take them down with Wish Ender. Right? You could actually just turn invisible and then just use a rocket. I would prefer Clown Coverage over the Last Impression rocket. I know it's more powerful, but I just prefer using 2 rockets for me. But unfortunately, that's not gonna happen. I couldn't get the right roll. That was the big issue. I've been trying to, so please, I did try farming it 5 hours, 8 hours. It wasn't working out. I couldn't get the roll that I wanted, especially for Lightblade. You know, this run could have been much more faster if I had the better rocket perk. Oh well, nothing I can do. Hopefully the Lucent Hive will be low enough health for me to use the finisher. I'm just waiting for the boss to calm down. Come on, calm down. I just want to get this done and over it. So one thing I had a problem with the Bearded Champions on this footage compared to the second version, they were huddling up on this version. From the old version, from the second version where I was having a lot of bug issues, the Bearded Champions were not huddling up. And I was able to take down all three champions at the bottom floor. But for this footage, it didn't work out. They were huddling way too much and I wasn't able to take them down from the bottom floor. So I had to do the other method, which I don't really like doing because you have to like jump and bow away, dodge the archive. So I'm going to do a little mini time skip here. But you'll see what I mean where they're just huddling up and they just wasn't cooperating with me. Things wasn't working out dealing with the Bearded Champions. They were huddling up way too much compared to the second version. So I decided to try to lure the Bearded Champions and then deal with them at this platform, well, at the first floor. But I'm going to jump on this mini platform so the Arc Knights won't one-shot me. So right now, I'm just trying to see where the Bearded Champions are. And I'm going to try to bait them. I don't really like doing this method because it's just that you have to dodge the Arc Blasts. And it can be extremely painful. Make sure you take down the Moth. It ran away, this Moth. My goodness. I was trying to take him down, but it didn't work out. So, when dealing with two Bearded Champions, you must jump and then bow because the Arc Blast can 3-shot you. And then this is when you really need to use your super and be very consistent with your precision shots and with the rocket. And make sure you take them down as soon as possible. So yeah, I really hate doing this method. I'm not a big fan of it, but I was just having a lot of impatience and I just wanted to get this done and over it. I should have just dealt with the Lucent Hive first and then deal with the 4 Bearded Champions. I just thought maybe I could take down the Bearded Champions fast because they were pretty much in the nice spots where I can do DPS, but unfortunately I had bad luck there. So now I'm going to be dealing with the Arc Knights finally, and then I'm just going to make my way to the Minichi spot. Of course, for Fireteam, it'd be completely different. Fireteam is a bit easier because one person can do the cat and mouse method, while two of the players can also do some DPS and then just stand at the spawn where the Bearded Champions will be at the third phase, and then of course the second phase when the boss's health is in the middle. Two barriers will spawn at a specific spot. Then they can take them down very quickly while one person is baiting the boss, making it jump up and down. So right now I'm just baiting the Arc Knight. And just be aware of the evil fairies or the evil moth, which they are extremely dangerous, and I despise them with all of my hate, or all of my bungee. These guys are extremely tanky. I don't remember them being that tanky at the old version. I'm not really sure. I actually need to go back to my old footage and compare the damage. Maybe it's just me. But yes, they are very tanky, so I am going to use my finisher because I don't want a boss to see me. If I wasn't using invisibility, let's just say scenario, I had to bait the Arknight to the cheese spot. Because I don't want the boss to see me and then he'll just wind up spamming his Arc Blast. So during this third phase, of course, I'll be going to the mini cheese spot. During the phase with the non-cheese method or fire team, this is when thralls will spawn and you would have to do the cat and mouse method dealing with the boss. But then when you are doing DPS, half of the health of the third phase, or the quarter of the health and it's half, then 2 barrier champions will spawn, which you have to know where the spawns are for the barrier champions. But because I took down the 2 barrier champions at the beginning of the Nightfall, I can skip the 2 barrier champions at the boss fight, the last 2, and still get platinum. So this is just a different way if you do want to skip the 2 barrier champions, or if you keep forgetting the spawns of the barrier champions at the last phase. You can also check out on Google of the maps of where the barrier champions exactly will spawn at the boss fight. Because when they do spawn, you have to immediately use your super and you have to take them down as quickly as possible. Especially on solo run, immediately you have to take them down or you're going to be juggling with 2 barrier champions and with the boss chasing you like a psychopath. Now, the reason why I did this cheese method is, 1, for giggles, to have fun for this season, because we had Lightblade last season, you know. Just to have laughs and giggles, because we are literally shooting the foot. Worst case scenario, if you don't see the foot, let's just say you can't shoot anything, I recommend just shooting the shoulder of the boss. You could just look up and then shoot the shoulder with the bow. Just in case if you don't see the foot or anything to do DPS, but just please don't move around and mess around with him or make a smiley face. Trust me, you don't want to do that. I tried it for giggles and it didn't work out. For the Scarlet Keep solo run, I'm not going to go on Hunter, just to let everyone know. I will go for a different subclass because I need a break. I need a break from Hunter because I have to do the Europa Moon. And obviously, I am going to go on Hunter for that. So finally, we're going to be doing DPS at the boss. And then we're going to get platinum. So here's proof that I got platinum by skipping 2 barrier champions. And there we go. We got platinum rank. Yay. We did the most ridiculous cheese. Woo. And I got platinum rank. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.